Hello and welcome to this video on using Zero Touch provisioning with the Quantum Spark gateways. Now, just a quick introduction on Zero Touch before we get started. Zero Touch is a feature that you can use to provision the Quantum Spark gateways so you can easily post out the security gateway to non-IT users in order for them just to plug the WAN cable in and get the gateway up and running. It makes it really easy to pre-configure a large number of gateways using a set template configuration, and again ship them out and get somebody who is non-technical to actually just connect the cables and let the configuration get pushed out across the internet. So in this tutorial I'll walk you through the initial steps, and here we're just going to be using the Zero Touch portal, and I also have a Quantum Spark 1590 gateway that will be connecting in this tutorial as well. So you can see I've browsed to zerotouch.checkpoint.com. So this is what you need to do in the first instance. You're going to log in using your user center credentials. Now a key thing here is the Zero Touch feature and portal is connected to your Check Point user center account. So you need to make sure the hardware that you're using is inside a user center that you can access. So that is step number one. So let's log in and take a look at what we can see once we've actually logged into the portal. Okay, so now I've logged in. One thing I will just mention at this point was I did get prompted to put my two-factor authentication code in, and this ties to my user center account. So just remember, if you're logging in, hopefully you have got two-factor authentication turned on, and when you're prompted, that is the code for your user center account. So just use that and you'll be able to log in. Now what you can see once you've logged in here is right at the top here is actually the user center account that you may have. The drop down menu from here will actually give you access to the account that you'll be able to see normally when you log into user center. This is the account that I've got where my Quantum Spark gateways sit inside, and so that's what I'll be using to show you how to actually get this up and running. On the left hand side you have access to three different navigation menus: templates, claimed gateways, and the inventory section. We're going to start with the templates. Let's go ahead and click new, and we're going to select the small office gateway template. You can see here you have the ability to actually do it for the guided gateways as well, but we're focusing on the small office gateways. Once we've clicked that, we get opened a new menu where we're going to configure the template settings, and there's three different tabs here at the top. We're going to start off with the settings tab. We're going to give the template a name, make it something useful for your environment. Now when you put in the template name, you can't have any spaces, so just bear that in mind. So I'm just going to call this home office, and then in the comments I'll just put a description in: my home office gateway. You can tick the box to improve product experience by sending data to Check Point. It's not a mandatory requirement. And we have two other tick boxes here which we're not going to tick. We're not managing this via a centrally managed server, so we're not going to tick that, and it's also not under construction. So we're going to just carry on to wireless country, select your necessary country. I'm in the UK, and then select the time zone. You can see also you can use our NTP servers, so we want you to be able to use the Check Point NTP server, so it's important to configure the correct time zone and wireless country. Next we have administrator access. To select the sources you want to allow you as an administrator to be able to access the Quantum Spark gateway. Now you as a corporate environment will have your specific IP addresses that you want to allow access to, whether that's from the LAN side, whether that's from a VPN, or if that's going across the internet. So I'm just going to allow access from the internet, and I'm just going to allow from any IP address. Obviously best practice, stick to specifying IP addresses for your corporate network, but in my home environment I don't have a dedicated IP address. Then we need to put in our password that we want to have on the security gateway. So the password's now there. We can now move to the next tab, which is Cloud Services. We're not actually going to configure anything here, but know you have the option to configure Reach My Device, which is our relay service, which allows you to connect to the gateway even when the gateway may be sat behind another router, so it's being NATed behind another gateway, or if the gateway has a dynamic IP address and you still want to be able to reach it directly, you can configure the Reach My Device settings, so it might be a useful service depending on your environment. And the other setting we have that can be configured here is the Smp Activation Settings. In this video, we're not going to talk about Smp or how to connect the gateway into Smp. We're focusing on being able to manage the Quantum Spark gateway locally, just using the Xero touch to do the initial provisioning. We will come back to that in another video, but for now, we're going to move on to the next step, which is Clich Configuration. Now, if you're not familiar with Check Point security gateways, Clich is the command line interface where we can actually configure the configuration and commands. So that's what we're talking about here, is actually being able to put the CLI commands into this box here, and when the gateway is running for the first time, when this template is actually being used, those commands will be inputted onto the gateway and configured as per whatever you put in this box. So that could be things like blade update schedules, settings, Wi-Fi settings, for example. That can all be done via the Clich script. You do have access to the full CLI guide, so you can look at that at your leisure and take whatever commands you want to put in to the box over here. As an example, I'm just going to put in my Wi-Fi settings because the gateway I have is Wi-Fi enabled, and I actually want the gateway to have the Wi-Fi enabled and up and running when it's plugged in for the first time. So I don't want to go in and configure that manually. It's a good feature to actually just have those commands ready to be able to put in and configure those settings. So I'll just paste those in there from my text template that I've got, and you can see simple set commands that we've used to enable these features and parameters. Now that we've finished configuring this, we can go ahead and click apply in order to save that template in our Xero Touch portal. Okay, and there we go. What you can see here now is the name of the template we've just configured. We've given it a template ID which is generated automatically when it was last modified. It may be useful to see if there were any changes done, and actually the sort of description that I put in, so I understand, you know, what this template is. As you can see, I've got multiple templates here. The next step is actually going to the inventory tab and looking at the gateways that we have associated with our account. Again, just to mention, what you will see here is actually what is inside your user center account, and specifically the account that you've chosen and selected over here. You can see I've got two 1590 gateways here and also a 3200. What we'll be using in this example is actually one of the 1590s to actually configure that using the template that we have just used right now and configured. Is going to actually be applied over here. Okay, so what we're going to do is select the gateway that we're going to be configuring. So that's this one over here, and then click claim. When we click claim, we then actually get to assign a name to the actual gateway itself, so we know what this gateway is. And here I'm just going to put in home office on the end of it here. Actually, I'll just rename it to that. Template, select which template you want to actually apply, so which configuration from which template you want to be applied to this gateway when it's connected to the first time, or if there's a factory reset. So we know we've just configured the home office, and then click apply. Great, you get the box to tell you the gateway has been claimed successfully, and there's some more instructions around what the service is doing. We can now click close over here. Now notice the status section here actually now says claimed, so we know this gateway can now be used in the field to be deployed. The other ones are not claimed. You can go ahead and claim those and apply the templates as well. Now we can go to the claimed gateways, because we now have a claimed gateway, which is this one over here. And what you can see at the top is some information to the MAC address, the name we just gave the gateway, the template that we've applied, and if we scroll using the bar down here to the right hand side, some more information around the deployment status, IP address, last status update. Now this is going to remain blank until the gateway is connected for the first time, or if you've performed a factory reset on the gateway and it looks for the zero touch service again. So now what I'm going to do is actually going to plug in my gateway for the first time, and what we'll do is actually talk to the zero touch portal in order to get it up and running. Now that the gateway has successfully downloaded the settings, we can actually browse to the IP address of the actual device itself. So I've got that over here, and you can see that, I've now got the login page. So zero touch was a success. All I did was we configured the template, we claimed the gateway, we then plugged the gateway in for the very first time. So all I did was connect my internet connection into the WAN port of my 1590 and let it boot up for the very first time, which is when it talks to the zero touch provisioning service. If you ever have to change some settings on the actual gateway and you need to reset that configuration in order for the zero touch service to work again, you do have to perform a factory reset on the actual gateway. So the Quantum Spark gateways out of the box with no configuration, plugged in for the very first time, will work with the zero touch provisioning service. If the gateway is already deployed in the field, in order to get it to talk with the zero touch service, it does need a factory reset, because it's that very first boot where it looks for this service to see if there is a template configured. That brings us to the end of this video. Hopefully you found it useful. Make sure you leave some comments and feedback, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.